Is this the year Josh Smith is going to become an all-star? And will Cory naysay it? So
probably not.
Okay, good.
He's probably not going to become an all-star.
I know I didn't see that coming. So MLB.com had 8 players on the all-star ballot who deserve a second look. Of course, Josh Smith was not on that list because, the disrespect is crazy. So I wanted to go back and look at some of his numbers, and maybe I'm just thinking about this disproportionately. Josh Smith, 27. He just won AL Player of the Week, hit .423 with an OPS of 1.269, pair of home runs. He has also already this year played 34 games at shortstop, 11 games at first base, 11 games at third base, and he's played at least one game in every other position outside of catcher and pitcher. So he's not like your typical, hey, I'm going to be lined up at shortstop every single day, obviously. So first of all, I'm terribly impressed just by that. I'm terribly impressed by the fact that he's been able to be so versatile defensively for the Rangers. Then you look at the numbers. He's hitting .288, OPS of 799. I believe both of those are at or near the top, depending on if you classify Evan Carter as qualified for it. I think he's put together a solid offensive year, and the versatility that he brings to this team. He has bailed this Rangers team out defensively time and time again. I think he is worthy of an all-star selection, although I can see how they would want to default to just the pitchers.
Where are you putting him?
He's utility.
That is a legitimate spot. Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Oh, yes!
I don't know who else deserves it. So.
By the way, he is second on the team in offensive WAR. He's .1 behind Wyatt Langford, and he's second on the team in OPS, although Evan Carter clearly has played significantly fewer games. So of the full-time players this season, Josh Smith has the best OPS on the team. He has the best batting average on the team. He's .1 off of having the best offensive WAR on the team. And then you factor in all the defensive aspects that he brings to the table.
He just, I guess for me, All-Star it is the best player on your teams, right? It's changed a lot since the ability for fans to vote and take over.
That is true.
And we benefited from it 2 years ago.
By the way, I think the Rangers only have 2 players in the top 10 at any position.
Wow.
And one of them's Jock Peterson.
All right. It is concerning.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, the hell is this? Jock Peterson? Because he's played for every team. So all the fans are like, I recognize that name, despite what he's done this year. But he is your kind of best player right now.
Yeah.
And
offensively. Yes.
Yeah. And it's just, I'm going to ask Boach about this in a little bit. Last year, he played a lot more than he'd ever played before. And by the end of the season,
the second half last year was atrocious.
Yeah, by the end of the season, you could kind of see that it wore on him. And I'm kind of curious how differently he prepared and how Boach looks at that and the work that he's putting in on this team and how he's your leadoff hitter.
Yeah,
he is an important leadoff hitter for this team right now because he can get on base and he provides hustle runs too, and that's important. And I thought that pairing of him and Wyatt Langford was going to be very beneficial. Wyatt's kind of taking a little dip, and he's getting more walks than usual as well. But I think that there can be a very strong case made for Josh Smith as a utility. Now, as a fielder, he can't compete with in the outfield. He can't compete with the Aaron Judges and the rest of that group.
Sure.
In the infield, there are other players with positions that they play at that level. But again, I go back to a couple of years ago, the Rangers and the Tampa Rays decided we're not letting any Toronto Blue Jays into this thing.
Yeah.
So the fans just won the vote on it, and 6 Rangers got into that sucker to start. So if that's where this stands, is if the Rangers fans can go out there and vote, which you need to do. You need to be voting for your guy.
If you vote multiple times a day.
Do fans not vote whenever they're frustrated that their team's not winning?
See, I think that's maybe the case. I'll tell you this, and this might sound really dumb. Hopefully, I'm going to need older people to back me up on this because I can see Alex be like, that's stupid. You're stupid. I think one of the things, I swear I really believe this, that hurt All-Star voting, just in general, is the disappearance of the paper ballots from the ballpark.
Because of the hanging chad.
No, not because of that, but yes, I understand that reference. I think more than hockey, football, basketball, baseball obviously leans back on like, oh, this is the way my dad did it, my grandpa did it. And there was something about like, especially as a kid, getting that all-star ballot and sitting down while you're watching the game and then like Julio Franco or whoever comes up and you're like, oh my God, obviously he's an all-star. Because like there for a time, there's nobody at a certain age, there's nobody who can tell you that any player is better than your guy. Like there's probably kids out there, or maybe it's changed way beyond what I understand. There's probably a kid out there who's like, Wyatt Langford's better than Aaron Judge, and nobody can tell me any different. Because that's like your guy, you know, and like you get to see him all the time. And I do really think like baseball voting in general took a hit when they're like, all right, well, we're not going to be handing out paper ballots because that's just not the way the world works anymore.
Do you remember voting on those?
100%.
Was Julio Franco always the one that you're like, he deserves it the most?
And Ruben Sierra, there's nobody who could tell me that they weren't all-stars every single year. And I think some people would be like, you're what's wrong with all-star voting. And I hear you, but I was a kid. And then you would like take it to the box, and if somebody had left an all-star ballot, you were like, oh my God, I just got an extra ballot. Now, MLB.com's like, run, don't walk to vote many, many times.
Yeah, the more times you add All-Star, hashtag All-Star, the more votes they get.
Yes.
I'm like, that's too easy.
And so I wanted to give you an example of, I don't know if they're really worried about the All-Star voting getting hacked or whatever. I would love to see that, and all of a sudden Josh Smith has like 4 million more votes than anybody else.
I wonder if we could give him the KNC bump. If look here, I'll
vote for Josh Smith. Right
I'll admit it. I have been very adamant that I did not think Josh Smith was a starter on this team. Boch has not necessarily even made that. When all players are healthy, Josh Smith is our utility guy.
Yep.
And that's been the case. And I don't know how he can squeeze his way into a role that is any different right now or on any other team. He might be on another team before it happens. I've been adamant about it, but I'm very patriotic about the Rangers. Does that count?
I like it.
Does that work?
Yeah.
I care for this team. So if that's the best candidate we have, I'll put my entire endorsement on his election.
Tank Top Cory says do it.
Yeah. So if we can give him the KNC bump and get him up to 4 million, because Kevin, we've been on the march to 1 million. For our Twitter account for a long time. Where are we at right now? About 20,000. We still got a way to go. All right? We still got a way to go. But if you want to follow us at KNC1053, you can. If you want to vote for Josh Smith for All-Star Game, KNC suggests it.
You know, I think one of the things that could really accelerate our individual or show social media, because I've noticed this from several people.
Go buy a bunch of followers.
That is true.
Like some people.
But also, just put out an angry statement that's not really a take about somebody that you know people don't like, and just quote tweet like a national story and just be like, oh yeah, he's the worst. And like, you'll be amazed at how much traction that picks up, and you're like, okay, so you don't like the person that other people don't like?
Or what about if you just go like say, I hate the person that everybody likes? That a lot of people like, because then they're going to follow you because they're like, why are you hating on the person I like?
Either that or pick up a radical political agenda. I have really been curious.
Is sports talk.
I know.
How dare you?
I've been really curious about running an experiment like on my Twitter, or maybe probably better off a burner Twitter, and like take a really extreme political position on either side and see how quickly I can get embraced by people as like an actual logical person who has thoughts about this. Anyways, the text has a couple of questions from the 239. Where's Josh Young? I'm really glad that they brought that up. And this is an example of how much better Josh Smith has been than the rest of most of this offensive team, and how it might surprise you. Right now, Josh Smith, his WAR is more than double of Josh Young. His batting average, 35 points higher, and his OPS compared to Josh Smith is 101 points higher. That is staggering. Now, you might also be shocked to hear this when I answer this question. Guys from the 214, what kind of haul could the Rangers get for Seager and Simeon and put Smith and Duran at shortstop and second base? I think you would get very, very, very little in that deal. Like, you'd be shocked how little you would get.
Don't you think your experience and ceiling level drop a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Like, just nothing against Josh Smith on this, but the experience that those two veterans have and their ceiling, if they play up to where they are, is far more than Duran for sure.
And so, like, the issue is, and somebody suggested earlier, like, hey, could we get a package started for Connor McDavid with Jason Robertson, Mikko Rantanen, and a first-round pick? Like, I don't even think that gets the discussion started because you're trading away players who make lots of money already.
Yeah.
So what is going to...
Wyatt Johnston.
Yeah, see, and
Robertson,
that's... And so you're going to need...
2 first-round picks.
You're going to need players that are already good that don't make a lot of money. And the issue is you still owe Marcus Semien and Corey Seager about
$1 billion.
A combined $302 million. So what team is going to be like, let me trade to take on all of that salary and give a lot back? Now, would the Rangers be willing to pay some of that? If they do, it would help. But at a time when I know they want to clear out some space under the ceiling, I don't know if they would. And you would get shockingly little back in that trade. I know it's weird, but I'm telling you, that's the way it is.
They're pretty much, and it sounds bad, but this year, for the remainder of this year, stuck with this team.
Yeah.
Like, there's just really not a lot they can add. Jock Peterson has to be good.
Yes.
The reality is they signed him in the offseason. That was their major investment. He has to be good. He has to live up to that contract because that's the bat that you need. That's what you would need to replace, and his money is almost irreplaceable because you can't trade him right now.
Yes.
The way he's playing.
No.
And that's what you would need to be able to move around is his money, and you can't. So you need him to play up to that level.